Welcome back to JKMoto Podcast, weekly motorcycle podcast for the everyday motorcyclist, covering current bike news, specializing in track riding and club racing. We truly do it all. This week, brought to you by Working Class Customs, a custom fabrication shop out of northern Utah. You can direct any more questions on that to Cole.
Pretty good,
Oh,
pretty good.
Okay, you know what? Hey, what do you want?
What more do you want?
Well,
How
anyway,
are you doing today?
I'm good. Actually, yeah, pretty good. I don't have anything negative to say, so pretty good
I
day.
do.
Uh-oh. What?
How do you take a perfectly decent looking VR46 bike and turn out that banana thing?
Let's just move past that to the sweet Aprilias that popped out from Trackhouse that you
I'm not
said weren't a good idea, but I'm all about.
I'm not sure I love that one either.
I think they look pretty good.
Cameron Bovier's bike in Moto 2, full on American flag colors, was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what that half-ass attempt at. I don't know. There's so much white. Obviously they're going for the American thing, but it just doesn't mean as much when they got two riders that aren't from.
All right. Well, hey, if you're listening, you guys go look at them. Go look at the VR46 team. You go look at Trackhouse Racing. Look at their new Aprilia colors. You let us know what you think, because we could sit here and debate this all day. But we ain't got time for that because we got to get a guest on.
Oh, yeah? Who
Yeah.
we got?
You don't know?
Well, I think I do. Better.
Today we're bringing on Josh Bittinger. Josh Bittinger from Texas, we'll leave it at that. But he works with Ridesmart. I think he's a coach with them, and I think he's got some other stuff that he does also. So we're going to get him on here and talk to him. And before you go anywhere, please, if you're on YouTube and you don't want to stick around on YouTube because this could be up to 2 hours long, hop down to our RSS feed. Go check us out. We're on all podcast platforms. Click follow on there. Click subscribe on YouTube because we have more than just a podcast. And throw a like on the video for us. And leave us some comments about where you're listening from, whether or not you like the YouTube idea, I guess, or whatever, and what you think about the episode as you're listening. Thanks.
Perfect. Let's roll the intro.
All right, intro.
Yesterday at one point, I was in sixth. Miles an hour.
Well, let's take it away, Easton. You brought Josh, so you get to introduce him.
I did bring Josh. Everyone, this is Josh Bittinger. I'm actually going to just let him introduce himself so that we don't have some weird double repeat. So,
all right.
Josh.
Yeah. My name's Josh Bittinger. Run Bittinger Motorsports here in Texas. We do private coaching, including mini motos and some other cool tools that I have. And I also coach with Ridesmart Motorcycle School and moved from Virginia to Texas to do this and just living the dream every day. It's awesome, and really met you guys, last year at MotoGP, and it's really cool to be back.
Yeah. I forgot to mention that in the beginning. Yeah, we met Josh almost a year ago at this point.
Yeah, you come
out at COTA. That's how we know you. It's kind of nice to have you back here. Looks like I think you kind of mentioned you were starting to do this last year. This time looks like it's going pretty well.
Things have blown up down here. I'm very, very lucky. Ridesmart, I don't know. There's a whole lot we could talk about, but yeah. And lastly, when you guys picked me up at MotoGP, that was like, that whole event was kind of a flurry. And when you guys hit me up with a microphone in my face, that was, I looked back at it and I was like, oh, I'm so bad in front of the camera. Like, I hate this. I don't know. So anyway, I don't like seeing me and hearing me, but whatever.
Well, hey, we appreciate you being here.
Yeah, man.
So do you miss the East Coast? Are you happy to be out?
I love it. The best thing I ever did. Virginia. Well, I rode this week 3 times, so there's that. It stays warm down here, and the people down here are awesome. I really, really like Texas. The hospitality down here is just awesome, and the motorcycle community especially. Like down here, it's kind of like us versus the track. Everybody just wants to help everybody get faster or just get into it, and I'm really happy down here. Like I'm going to tell you, probably the happiest time of my life right now. It's very cool.
Heck yeah. So you said Bittinger Motorsports and you said Ridesmart. Can you kind of whichever one we want to dive into first? But what's the difference there?
So yeah, when you called me the other day, you were asking me about Texas track days and that sort of thing. So Ridesmart Motorcycle School they've been around for like 20 years. When I first came down here 3-4 years ago from Virginia, I was trying to find somewhere to ride. I'd done my first track day at VIR, and it was like October, November, and it was done in Virginia until like March or April, and I didn't want to wait 6 months to ride again. I was hooked. So I got online. I tried to find places to ride, and I found Ridesmart. And they ride pretty much through the winter. And I went down and did a COTA day with them. But they're a really good organization. They're not they're not your typical track day stuff. Most track days have maybe like a novice class for like the first half of the day until they see that you got your lines and you're not going to kill anybody, and then you're free. Ridesmart is actual school. Like they have novice, intermediate, experienced, and advanced levels, and each one has its own curriculum. And after you come off track, you go back to the classroom and you go through their curriculum. It's a really in-depth program. So I really like that, and I just want to be a big part of it. So I started coming back to more and got to know everybody. But they're a big school. If you come to Texas, that's pretty much who you ride with. Mm-hmm. There's a couple other organizations, but Ridesmart's the big one. They go to COTA, which is the big draw. Some places here in Houston, Dallas, and actually this year Ridesmart's going as far as Oklahoma. So it's the big riding group. And then
that's just northern Texas, right?
No, south all the way. South of Houston. Oh,
sorry, you missed it. I have some Oklahoma friends.
Oh yeah.
Disregard that.
There's
awesome. Been some movement happening there.
Shit. Earthquake.
No, I have some friends from Oklahoma, and real proud Oklahomans.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And we used to tell them all the time, that's just northern Texas, isn't it? And then they'd get mad.
That's when Oklahomaans pop out and say, no, Texas is just southern Oklahoma. And then most people forget that Oklahoma's a state after that point. So,
I've been there. There a few times racing. We go up to Hallett Motor Racing Circuit, and I raced there a few last couple of years, and I love that track. But yeah, Oklahoma's kind of like there's nothing there. At least the parts I've seen.
This is not a geography podcast, but I will point out that they just announced that Oklahoma City. So I can relate it. I drove a Ducati through Oklahoma City in the middle of the night once, and it's a lot bigger city than I anticipated.
Isn't it in Missouri?
Yeah. Huh?
Wait a second. What am I thinking of?
Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, man.
You go back to geography class.
No, there's whichever state's got the Kansas City, Missouri.
There you go.
Yeah, Kansas. My bad. See, they're all the same. All those states are there.
We're not talking about Kansas.
Well, they're all the same state.
Oklahoma is building the tallest building in the United States. They just announced they're building some new high-rise over there. It's going to be tallest building in the U.S.
Just randomly.
Well, as flat as it is, they'll be able to see forever.
Okay, back to motorcycles. Off of the geography.
Yeah. So Ridesmart's like the main people in Texas then. Okay.
Yeah, really good program. I got to know them and management a little bit, and they brought me on. I kind of already had a little thing going, Bittinger Motorsports, and then they helped me grow it. So now down here in Houston at our local track, I'm a member there, and I do private coaching, and we do our mini moto clinics and some of the other tools I have. You guys saw the trainer and some of the VR goggles stuff that I do, but I pretty much got my own little coaching thing. And when you come to a Ridesmart day, they call me one of their lead instructors, but I kind of do my own thing. I love those guys, and we wear the Ridesmart suits, and we're part of the school. So essentially, Bittinger Motorsports is part of the school. You can sign up for Ridesmart Track Day, and then if you want the extra curriculum, what was really cool this year is we started doing a program where you would go out with me in the parking lot, and we'll do mini moto drills. And whenever your session comes up, we'll get off the minis, and whatever we just learned, then we go hop on the big bikes, and we go try it out on track. So we kind of made that work. It's like in the morning, I'll start working on vision. Like we get to talking, you'll realize I'm really big on vision and seeing where you're going. So we'll spend the first hour of the day on the minis working on vision drills, like trying to actually track where you see, where to look down the track. You'll go out, we'll practice some of those drills on the big track, see if you can find those reference markers and that sort of thing. And then we'll come back in, and then we'll start working on steering, and on the minis, we could do like all the different steering inputs. We'll work on counter steering. We'll work on getting your body off the bike to make the bike dip, weighting the pegs. We'll try all those things on the minis, and then we'll go out on the track and then I'll say, hey, in turn 3 and 4, we're going to do this to turn, when we're in the big carousel. Once you leaned over, I want you to give a little counter steering and feel that out, that for at least for the novice and intermediate group. But that's kind of the way it works. Like I said, it's a extra curriculum within Ridesmart, and it really took off. It is very physically demanding. If you're on the minis and then doing a track day, a lot of guys get worn out by.
Sounds like a full day.
It's more than a full day. So much we actually spread it this year into like 2 days. I couldn't teach it all in one day, and especially in Texas in July, it gets really hot. So, I had a lot of guys last year about 1 o'clock. They're like, oh, okay, let's just do the sessions and watch video, and we'll do more minis later. So we kind of changed it up this year, and it's good though. So that's kind of what we.
When you say minis, what are we like? If I come down and I'm hooking up with you for a weekend for training on the minis, what are the minis exactly?
Well, that's actually something I kind of learned back on the East Coast. 100 to 125 cc dirt bikes fitted with street tires. So Yamaha TTR 125s, Honda XR 100s. I'm really big on cross training, which I was kind of curious talking to you a little bit, Cole, because you got into racing, and I was curious if do you have background in dirt? I know a lot of fast guys that race have a background in dirt, and I didn't. Did you grow up on dirt or no?
On 3.
I had one extra wheel for most of my.
Oh, okay.
for my age. So absolutely, I grew up on a farm.
Okay.
We had handlebars in our hands, from the time we could walk.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of sand dunes around here. We have 3 different. What are you shaking your head for, Easton?
I don't know if I would say a lot. Like, you got 2 main sand dunes you can go to. If you go to California, it's like the whole freaking state of sand dunes. So
I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to handle Easton today. And
I haven't cracked off with any old jokes yet. So,
and he hasn't cussed yet either.
Yeah, true.
So where I live in Utah.
Okay.
So where I'm at in Utah, I am about 2.5 hours from Rexburg sand dunes in Idaho. They are the tallest freestanding sand dunes in the United States. Bigger than Glamis, bigger than anything. Freestanding sand dunes means you could dig a hole with a shovel all the way to the bottom and never run out of sand.
Okay.
In Utah, about 2.5 hours from me, we have the Little Sahara, they call it, which is bigger, taller sand dunes, but they're not freestanding. They're sand blown against a mountain, basically, from the old Lake Bonneville. But we also have the Kilpecker sand dunes within 2.5 hours in Wyoming, which is another great big. They're not as fun. There's a lot of witches' eyes. They're dangerous. Anyway, the moral of the story is I grew up going to sand dunes as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
But yes, so dirt, yes, less on dirt bikes than.
I gotcha. Well, when I got into racing, I noticed the guys were really ripping it, had a background in dirt, sliding the front, sliding the rear. They were used to it. Those are the guys that are backing it in and, are used to that stuff. So I started seeking out other ways of trying to get fast. At the same time, I had met my girlfriend, Michelle, and she wanted to start riding. So we found up in Maryland, there's a group. It was an all girls group called Ruts to Racelines. And they would go to Sandy Hook Speedway and have, the bikes we bought came from that group. And they put the girls on kart tracks in kind of a non-intimidating environment, which, I didn't want to throw my girlfriend out with VR with PRE the first day, fast guys, even in the novice group. So we found that, and the minis, met some people that do a lot of training on that. And so then I started looking more. I was like, where else can I do some of this training? And Easton, you're not too far from, where are you at right now? How far is Charlotte, North Carolina from you?
Charlotte, about 3.5.
3. Just northeast of Charlotte is a school called Cornerspin. Have you heard of Cornerspin?
I have not. Nope.
Check it out.
I can look it up.
Yeah. A guy named Aaron Stevenson teaches it. He's an ex-racer. He's really fast, but he has a program where it's XR 100s on dirt, and you spend the whole weekend sliding. And it's like when you go in there, he says, by the end of the weekend, I'll have you with your hand on the gas tank, and the other hand, you'll be sliding the front, sliding the rear, and controlling it all. It's like, nah. By the end of the weekend, and it saved my ass a few times in some rain conditions and whatnot. But that's how I got into it. And I came to Texas, and there wasn't a lot of it. So we started kind of putting a program together. I wanted Michelle to get better. And Cornerspin was a great program. I checked it out. Came to Texas. There's Colin Edwards' place. You guys are familiar with Colin Edwards, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, Colin's place is about an hour north of here. He has a boot camp, and he does a program on dirt. But it's like a week long, and it's pretty pricey. I've never been there because it's just frankly out of my price range. But anyway, I started putting Michelle on these things. We started coming up with drills, and then next thing I know, some of my friends wanted to try the drills, And then it just grew, and now the mini moto program's like really taken off. It's helping a lot of students. And the Ridesmart thing is kind of cool. Like midway through the season, I was a new guy, right? So some of the instructors, when you first come in, you got all these seasoned instructors, and they were kind of like, "Who's the new guy?" But midway through, I started to get some of them to trickle over, and they were like, "Just want to let you know, your students who went through your program, they're coming up through our program a little bit faster. It's pretty good." And anyway, it started to come along, so it's a good thing. But anyway, I'm real big on cross training, mini motos, and then I got into flat tracking this year. I love that, and that has made me. I'm never going to be fast, but it's made me faster for sure. So I'm big on flat tracking too.
Okay. Yeah, I just Googled corner spin. It was
Yeah.
kind of weird, but it says dirt training for road riding.
Yep.
This whole
That's why he.
big thing.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I guess if you're in the North Carolina area, yeah, that looks pretty sweet. So
That's a good one. Also, American Super Camp. You might want to look that up. That is Danny Walker's school. Danny Walker is he's a personal coach. I think he coaches Josh Hayes, Jake Kanye, those guys. And he's got a big semi truck full of TTRs, and he goes around the country to like different fairgrounds.
Okay.
He goes to Delaware, I know he goes to Colorado. I know he goes to LA. And I went and did the Delaware School of American Super Camp, and that was really, I learned a lot there too. That was a good program. So
okay. So
yep,
you've got with Bittinger, you've got the same bikes ish, but you put street tires on them, and you're out on like a go-kart track or a skid pad or something.
It depends. At Coda, we just use they have a huge paddock, so we have a section of the paddock, cleared off, and then I set up all my range there. At MSRH, which is my local track, there's a skid pad. Each different track's different how we set it up, but there's always a space for me to set up and do the drills.
So how do you think that differs from some of these other schools we've been talking about for a second that do the dirt? Do you get as much out of it, or is it just
So actually, I'm developing a dirt program now. I just had it helped me so much. My buddy AJ, he's a pretty darn good club racer, borderline. He's maybe thinking about bumping up a little bit, I would think. He hadn't said it out loud. But anyway, he and I, we trained together on the flat track, and we've decided we started helping our friends. Same thing. We started helping our friends, and then it's turned into stuff other people want to do now. So I think later this season, we're going to open what we call Dirt Farm. And it's kind of like Slide 101. I just met with management of my local track 2 days ago on Friday. And they're going to allocate hopefully a little section of our local track to allow me to have a dirt track. So we can have the minis on the skid pad, and then I can have a separate class over in the dirt, because I think they're equally good for you. The mini stuff I think is more fundamental. That whole program I kind of designed originally for my girlfriend Michelle. I wanted to I sat down, I was like, what do we really need to teach you so that you're safe on the track? And I came up with my list: vision, steering. We do one on focus. When somebody passes you, not getting spooked. So we go out and we do drills, keeping your eyes forward, and we'll buzz each other and that sort of thing. And so it's a little bit of more of a fundamental course, but I put white plate experts through it, and they dig it too. We do some braking. Trail braking is a big one. I destroyed this right shoulder in turn 11 at Coda. I was in a class and I learned about trail braking. I'm like, cool, I'm going to go dive in and do it. Man, I made a huge change in my braking in one session, and I paid the price for it. So now I'm real big on teaching trail braking in a safe environment. Like, getting used to, the MSF courses, they teach you driving in a straight line and then let off the brakes and then go in the corner. And that's like the worst thing.
In the basic one, yeah.
Yeah. So instead of going out and trying to trail brake at 100, we teach it on the minis, get used to braking towards an apex, that whole feel of, turning and also slowing at the same time. That's a different thing that, a lot of riders haven't really had the chance to feel that sensation. So we try to teach it, on the minis at 10 miles an hour instead of 100.
Right. Well, that makes sense. I like that. that. And so talk to us about MSR Houston.
It is my local track, Motorsport Resort Houston. It's about 30 minutes south of Houston. We're located kind of halfway between the Gulf of Mexico and Houston. So we get to ride most of the year. We did have like a 1 week winter about 3 weeks ago. It got down to, like 20 degrees for
Did
one
you
or two
say
nights.
20 or 28?
20.
20. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that winter cold, or is that?
That was it. Right now it's January and it was 70 degrees today. So
20 degrees is definitely winter, Easton, but it needs to last longer than a week. You need to really get it socked in there for like 65 days.
Guys,
yeah.
In Virginia, I had a boat shop. We used to have to go winterize on the water in November. It was like, I'm happy to be away from winter for sure.
Yeah, winterizing on. I never thought about that. Like I knew boats had to winter, like everything's got to winterize, but I never thought about it on the water, like trying to
Yeah.
get that undone on the water.
Yeah. A lot of my previous customers had boats and lifts, and they didn't have trailers. So we would, go house to house and winterize the boats in the docks. And man, in November when the wind's blowing on the water, that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't miss it one bit. But anyway.
So I've looked into MSR a little bit.
Okay.
They kind of seem like a little more private.
Yeah. So actually, this is a question I have for you guys. So I know you guys have traveled and you're knocking tracks off the list all over the country. MSR offers membership, and most of the tracks down here in Texas do. You pay an initiation, and then after that, a monthly fee. So I can go out and ride, unless there's like a car event, like car races going on during the week, I can ride, 2, 3, 4 times a week if I want, which is great. But back home, I mean, VR didn't do it. I've been to Jennings. They don't offer membership. You got to go on a track day. Have you guys seen memberships available at other tracks around the country? Is that a thing or no?
Not really. I mean, we've seen some. I was actually looking at some houses in the San Antonio area and looking at some
Texas.
tracks down there. They all offered. I mean, I think that's a Texas thing. I'm not seeing that anywhere else.
There have been some other tracks that are up and coming that I think want to offer a similar thing, but not like it seems to be in Texas, where it is just almost every track down there seems to kind of run that way.
Yeah. So it seems like, I think one of the tracks you're referencing, Easton, is Podium Club, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Podium Club in Arizona, that's, a huge, eventually will be a huge facility. The plans to have condos and all that kind of stuff. So the people that live there, I'm sure, will have membership to the track on the off days when there's not an event going on, like you're talking. But it hasn't happened yet. And I know that new track in Tennessee, they're advertising to be similar also.
There's one in Tennessee. There's actually, I don't necessarily want to announce this because I don't have any real info on it yet, but there's supposed to be a track going up right up the road from me here in South Carolina that looks like it's going to be membership based. I would guess that Atlanta Motorsports Park is also membership based because they do have condos, or at least they're currently building a bunch of condos along the back. And then there's allegedly Circuit of the Northwest going to be built sometime in the next 150 years that will also probably have memberships set up. So
cool.
Anyway.
Well, I was going to tell you guys, y'all were asking about tracks and where to go. And I saw on your season review podcast, you were naming off where you wanted to go. And I saw COTA was on the list. That was kind of cool. I was like, all right, they're going to come to COTA. I like COTA. I love COTA. We coach there. So if you come ride COTA, you'll probably come to a Ridesmart day. So that'd be great. We could ride. I encourage you, though, if you do come to Texas, if you can take the time, ECR, which is Eagles Canyon Raceway. And I want to be politically correct when I say this. Nothing against COTA. COTA's great, and I love it. And it's a great experience, right? You guys have been there. Huge grandstands to ride where Marquez and Rossi have been is awesome. But from a motorcycle standpoint, Eagles Canyon is more fun, more technical, better surface, believe it or not. And it is, man, it's phenomenal. Great elevation changes. There's this, don't get me wrong. Turn 1 at COTA is uphill, straight uphill, but ECR has this sweeping downhill thing, and we race there. Our local club racing group, we race there. And then also they just put in G2 Motorsports Park. That one is mainly car guys, but they've allowed Ridesmart to come a couple of times, and that track is really fun for practicing. Like every corner is a trail braking corner. I mean, theoretically every corner on every track is, but this is a really good one for you to work on your trail braking. It's got some cool elevation changes too. Yeah, if you get a chance, you guys are more than welcome. If you want to come crash here, I have racers stay here all the time. We actually call this place the Racers Lounge, because I got guys from Dallas that come down and don't want to spend hotel rooms or whatever. So come crash here. If you guys want to ride MSRH, we can get you in as a guest for a day or so if you want to ride. You were talking about racing, Cole. Have you done any endurance racing yet?
I have not. I am thinking about it, though. Our local club.
You handle the endurance, though.
Is that your first step into the old boundaries?
No, actually, I was talking about these guys that have been fixed. Will they last through it? I guess now that they're fixed, you should be good.
I just had a shoulder surgery. That's what he's making fun of.
So. Okay. I knew you said you had a hurt wing. I wasn't sure he was getting that, but I have one of the things we do is I have a little Ninja 300, and it's clapped out. It's beat. It's got 1 million miles, but every CMRA race, we bring it, and I kind of put it out there for anybody that wants to try endurance racing. So we'll always put a team together. We're not trying to win anything because it's, it's a clapped out 300, but it is so much fun, and it's a great way to kind of get into endurance racing. You get the, the team camaraderie thing going. So if you ever want to just throw your leathers, in a bag and ride a plane down and come race with us, you're more than welcome.
Okay, I appreciate that, and I would be interested in that.
Yeah,
be sweet.
And I'm not trying to exclude you, Easton, but you got to get a race license, man.
That's true. That's true. It's on the list. Don't worry, it's on the list. Everyone.
Oh, cool. All right, yeah,
on the list.
So before we get away from that subject, and you don't have to say anything you don't want to, but regarding COTA,
okay.
One of the things, so I have not ridden COTA. I want to ride there, of course. I mean, It's bucket list item for everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can't even go around that track on a video game.
True.
It seems like the most miserable track to get around in a video game compared to everything else. And I just wonder if that some of the feeling crosses over into real life.
I don't like it because of the long backstretch. I'm bored. Anybody can just pin it and do whatever. And then on a track day, especially when we're coaching, you get, I'm not going to call out any particular make and model, but some guys, have bikes that go really, really fast and they just want to pin it out. And then you get to the corners and they park it. And you're always kind of fighting that. Don't get me wrong. There are parts of the track that are a blast. Turn 2, the downhill sweeper is awesome. The technical part's great. The carousel, you're in it forever. But I would, from a motorcycle perspective, I think I would rather ride the other tracks for sure. So.
Smaller ones?
Well, not even smaller. ECR is not that much smaller. Now COTA is, COTA is large and it's 20 turns. If you do ride it, we did a virtual track study back in November, and it's on YouTube. I posted it up, and we did it. I got all my coaches. I've actually got 5 coaches on Bittinger Motorsports staff now. We all coach and do this together. Some of us race together, but we did this. We all got on Google Meet, and we did a virtual track study. I got on Google Earth, and I had I clicked images of each turn and laid out the right line, the wrong line, why you need to late apex here and that and the other. And it turned out to be like a 2-hour thing. But anyway, if you do come to COTA, it's a really good tool. You can click on there, and we break down every turn, and it'll help you get around that place a lot better because it is a lot of track to learn. You'll have so much more fun if you know the track before you come. I mean, you guys know that already. But,
yeah. Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's kind of half the fun for us, though, I think, is to see, how long does it take to learn a track when you first show up.
Sure.
So that's been kind of cool. But yeah, I'm actually looking at Ridesmart's website right now and looking at the COTA track map.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that back straight you're talking about. And then there's the front straight, obviously. I mean, anyone that listens to this podcast probably knows COTA reasonably well. I think you've got COTA behind you also. Right? Somewhere.
Me?
Cole? Question mark?
Yeah, probably.
Anyway. Yeah.
No, it's fun, and you should definitely do it. And if you do, please come ride with Ridesmart. We'll hang out, and it'll be a good time. I'd like you guys, if you get a chance, to come down and try Ridesmart. Like I said, it's a school, so it's a little bit of a different environment, and it's pretty neat. Different than a regular track day, so. Not trying to deter you from COTA. Definitely do it, but make time to do the other ones.
So what is we've talked a little bit about the weather. I'm the only one dealing with snow in my yard right now out of the 3 of us. But what's the season? Is there a season? Does Ridesmart go year round?
Yeah, Ridesmart does have a season. We kick off in the middle of February, and every year we close out with Thanksgiving weekend at COTA. Okay. Typically, Thanksgiving at COTA, sometimes weather is an issue. The rest of the season is pretty dry. The summer months are pretty warm. We actually just bought a 44-foot gooseneck trailer to be our mobile classroom so that guys can come in and cool off in air conditioning, just kind of get some relief from the summer heat. Houston down here is not quite as bad. You go up towards Dallas in that area. Like we were at G2 this year, and it was 108 in the paddock, and that was oof. You get used to it, but
it's not the 108, it's the humidity.
Yeah.
It's something like that. Yeah.
See, Texas is weird in that way, though, because half of it, the eastern half, 100%, but you get over on the western half of Texas and nope, it's just dry.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the big secret is, and I'll put this out because I want more motorcycle people to come here, is everybody says, Texas is so hot. It is for 1.5, 2 months. and then the rest of the year is amazing, and then we get one week of winter. And they said last year was like the hottest summer in Texas since 2011. Of course, it's the year that I move here. I got to go through it. But so it's hot for a little bit. But I mean, spring, when I moved down here in April, from April until like mid-June, it was between like 69 and 75 every day. And it was just, we were riding every day. It was just awesome. So
that does sound good. And you can get a membership to a track, so you can literally just, you get off work an hour early to go to the track.
Absolutely.
So, yep. We have had the should we be in Texas purely from a motorcycle standpoint discussion more than once behind the scenes on this podcast. So
cool.
Not a new idea to us, I guess is the best way to put that.
I gotcha.
And just to be fair for us, where I'm at, I mean, it's not uncommon to be between 100 and 110 on a race day.
Okay.
Yeah,
but it's zero humidity.
Yeah. Something funny though, Texas gets super hot. Jennings gets really hot, and I don't know if you know, Jennings shuts down during the summer. They say that track gets just so hot and so greasy. I used to go to Jennings all the time when I first got started. I'd just make weekend trips to go ride down there, and I love Jennings. And you guys were talking about that track, and it's super fun. I know most of the East Coast, everybody goes down there to train during the winter when it gets cold, but love Jennings. I was actually going to go this past weekend. All my buddies were there doing an endurance race this weekend. And when I was going to bring my guys from Texas to go, we checked the weather, and it said, it's going to be 32 degrees. So we said, we're not going to Florida. Well, it was beautiful this weekend. So what do whatever. Yeah, but we don't really shut down here. And in those 2 months when Ridesmart's done, like I said, I've been riding for the past 2 months. So outside of that 1 week where it got stupid cold, other than that, I've been riding most every day.
It's not bad. So I'm kind of curious. We've talked to one other coach on this podcast. That was a ways back last year. Do you guys do coaches get together anywhere from different programs? I mean, obviously like you and Ridesmart and you and your coaches with Bittinger Motorsports are going to talk to each other.
Sure. Yeah.
But as far as do you ever meet up with other coaching programs? Is there one head coach that's this is the stuff we need to be putting out, or is it all just kind of, hey, I found this, or do you guys
I think everybody kind of does their own thing to some degree. I know that Dave Johnson, he's one of the owners of Ridesmart. He worked with Nick Einosh from Champ School. I think they were buddies and worked on some stuff together. Dave always kind of jokes around about sending us to go to other places to check out how other schools do, but I don't think there's really any organization says this is the way you teach motorcycle schools. And I'm a newer coach, so maybe I'm not the right guy to ask that. There is USMCA. That's a certification you can get. I'm USMCA certified, and I ask all my coaches to be also. But it's just it's an online class where you get all of your health, first aid stuff done, and then some coaching stuff like how to deal with tough situations. If you've got a younger student, a parent, and they're expecting this and that sort of thing. So you kind of go through that stuff. But USMCA is a good org. I think a lot of people are, AMA members, of course, but I don't know of any bigger group. And maybe it's just because I'm new at this, but not that I know of, to answer your question. Okay.
So you never sent anyone over to Italy or anything though, either?
No. One of the guys that's a friend of mine and I race with, he just went to, he went to Spain to a mini moto training thing over there. I forget the name. I don't want to mispronounce it, but he flew all the way over and did that. I haven't had a chance to talk to him, but I wanted to see what that was all about. But he did fly over to Italy to check out their program, and they do mini. So that tells you there. East Coast does some mini stuff, and in Europe, the guys are on minis. Cross training, man. You do it on the small bikes.
Makes sense, and it's cheaper. It's cheaper to wreck a smaller bike.
Yep, and it hurts less, and for most of the time. I ate the dirt on some flat tracking a few weeks back. That hurt, but it was actually because Michelle, my girlfriend, she wanted to learn, so I put her in all my gear, the padded shorts and all this, and she's out riding. I said, I'm just going to go do a few braking drills real light. Man, I washed the front. I went over the handlebars with no pads on, and this hole, it was black, dude. It was bad. So, yeah. But,
So since you brought the flat tracking back up again, what bike are you using for that? I mean, how does somebody get into flat tracking?
I asked that very question when I was at Sandy Hook with some people for that mini moto thing, and there's a couple ways, and our program's going to be one of them. Slide 101, but either get some friends in a TTR 125 and go out and try sliding in the dirt. You can go to American Super Camp. You'll be able to go to Dirt Farm with myself and AJ. Aaron's school it's not necessarily flat tracking. I think that they actually have like a upper level flat track 101 they're starting to offer now. But there are flat track groups popping up all over. I got into it last year and I loved it, but I think it's the name of the group, Extreme Flat Track. They just like joined with another group and they're bringing flat tracking out. Like it's growing. You guys follow JD Beach last year. He did a ton of flat track stuff. Came back to Moto America, hadn't ridden, a sport bike race forever. And I think he podiumed like second or third first time back. And it's just because flat tracking is so good for your riding.
I just heard you could only flat track a 750 XL Harley Davidson.
Shit. I would love to. I would love to. I don't think that I have the cojones to do it just yet. That's badass. Yeah. I think you got to build up to that. But start on, they call it the Mad Dog stuff is the smaller CC stuff. And that's what I'm into.
I'm pretty sure you just jump. There's a 125 and then straight up. There's no in between there.
Were you sandbagging, Cole? Did you used to do that or something, man?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
You had me on the rope if you did.
That's just the image I get when I think of flat tracking. I mean, not that I haven't watched it. I've watched full seasons on TV. I'm interested in the sport for sure, but it's just always, I don't know. It's supposed to be a Harley.
It's supposed to be a Harley. A weird history fact for you, and a kind of a nerd fact. I had a buddy that I don't even remember. He came over one time, saw I had some motorcycles, and saw I had a Harley in the garage, and he was like, "You know what's funny about these?" And I was like, "What?" Never expected it. He owned a Honda S2000 for reference here. Like, never expected him to have any facts on a Harley, not for any particular reason, but just whatever. He was saying that the way their V-twin, specifically the angle they were set up at, the way that it put out power in like a non-continuous motion was actually better traction-wise for the racing that they did back in the day, which is one of the reasons they were so good. And like there was some science, not intentional, done, but they did some research afterward and found out that the way that a Harley puts out an almost inconsistent power is very, very good at traction in the dirt.
Interesting.
So, that's true with V twins in general.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you're right. What you're saying is correct. It's not making power all the time, so it allows the tire to get traction again.
Right. Almost kind of catch up
in between the strokes.
The potato is there for a reason.
You and the potato.
Well, we're also in the midst of a non-Harley guy over here, I believe. So
I actually own a Harley.
Oh, well, okay. That's
I didn't. I'm not a big Harley guy. I'm not. But my best friend from a couple years back passed away, and he had a Harley, and I inherited it. And actually been thinking about doing the Super Hooligans thing as kind of a tribute to my buddy, but I just haven't had time to do it yet. But I do own a Harley, and I think I'm going to track it out. But it's a little bit down the road type thing.
Right.
But
Back home in Virginia is like, I don't know if you guys know, I didn't get into this a few years back. I didn't know what a track day was until I was 40. Like,
so I can crack the old jokes then.
You can crack them. I heard your other podcast. You're ripping on him. I was fully prepared. I came fully prepared for it. But
I try and kind of ease into it.
You're good. You can crack them.
Until he can beat us, he can't.
I was about to say, just you can crack them, and then we'll go look at the lap times.
Yeah. All right.
I'm just kidding.
I wasn't.
Oof.
No, but no, I didn't know anything about it. And in Virginia, like where I was from, there's, a lot of guys on, in clubs, a lot of guys riding from bar to bar and doing the cruises up through like back of the Dragon and that sort of thing. But I never knew what a track day was until my buddy actually met up with a guy to go get a GoPro to go ride Tail of the Dragon and video it. He's like, "Why don't you do a track day?" What do you mean? Don't you have a license for that? I had all those same questions that everybody has. I didn't think it was attainable, and got introduced to it. But yes, I have a Harley. I might race it one day.
Yeah. So I'm kind of curious now that you brought this up. So you started, first track day at 40 years old because someone mentioned it, and that kind of like what happens to, I think, most of the people that are doing what we do. Before then, what were you doing?
For many years, I was an engineer. I was in the corporate world for a while. I was working for a tier 2 automotive supplier. We used to make friction discs for automatic transmissions. got tired of that, and I'd always wrenched on stuff. So I opened a boat shop at Smith Mountain Lake in Virginia. The boat shop kind of took off, and I found out that people who had boats on the lake also had garages full of hot rods. So we ended up opening up a hot rod shop. We started doing a lot of car builds, LS swaps, and some restorations and whatnot, and had a lot of fun. It was a good time, and I was making pretty good money. And then I was introduced to track, and about a year after that, I found out Texas, and sold it off to move here and coach. But I've always taught. When I was in engineering, I used to teach at the local community college just to go down and try to teach the young engineers what to do. I played in a band for years. I used to teach music, and I love coaching and teaching, whatever it is. If
No problem.
sorry,
We might just leave that in. Kind of
Yeah.
breaks it up real good.
that's all. That guy wasn't bad. He was somehow respectful. Anyway, but yeah, no, I just that's how I got into it, and I just always like if something brings me joy, or if I can help and share, I just always like doing that type of stuff. So then started racing, and you go to the paddock and here's a new guy. You always take him under your wing. Hey, here's what you do, and help him along. And then that just turned a little more. And anyway, I don't know. And then I'm at Ridesmart, and those guys I can't say enough about them. They're awesome. They just kind of took me under their wing, and next thing you know, we got a program going, and it's just every day I'm serious. It's like a dream down here. I can't believe we're doing this. Like, can't believe I get paid to make people go fast on a racetrack. It's crazy.
That is pretty cool. It is the dream, if you will. But so how many days a week are you spending on two wheels?
During the summer, 5 probably.
Okay.
Yeah. During the summer, I'm pretty busy. We'll have Ridesmart weekends, and I'll come back here and coach during the week. This year, probably a little bit busier because we're adding the dirt thing. The stuff that I can't really say publicly yet, that's going to turn into a full-time thing pretty quick.
Okay.
And I guess I can mention that a little bit. We've got some big announcements coming with Ridesmart that we're stupid excited about. And all I can say is, there's California Superbike School. It has, a full fleet of BMWs, and it's awesome. You can come and ride those, and everybody's on the same bike. You can fly in, ride them, and fly out, not worried about getting there.
Mm-hmm.
You can do the same with Champ School. And I work for Ridesmart. It's pretty cool. So we'll just leave it at that. But something else that I'm kind of excited about, this is another one we can't talk about yet, but let me ask you this. Do you guys use lap timers and run data?
I don't know about running data, but definitely use lap timers.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
You race?
Yeah, so I think we both use solos, lap timers.
Okay. Yeah.
But of course, when you race, you have access to a lot more data that they're doing for you as well.
Oh, you talking about like Moto A teams, or just in general, like club racing stuff?
Just club racing stuff.
I gotcha.
I mean,
yeah.
When you can get on Speed Hive, of course, and break down lap by lap, but not really digging into the data the way you're talking.
I gotcha. I was introduced to it when I first got into the CMRA. A couple of guys, showed me a few things, and they were kind enough to share their data with me so I could compare what I was doing, what they were doing, and I really found that stuff to be gold. And at least in our racing organization, data is pretty big. Then at Ridesmart, I met a guy, really amazing guy, super intelligent guy named Michael Bassani. He raced with me, and we got to talking, and he's actually an engineer for a Moto A team, and he runs data for them. And anyway, as part of my program, anytime I've got novices, we don't really talk about it. But once I get to intermediate and experienced guys, I'll say, hey, here, throw this on your bike and take it out, and we'll come back. And I show them, hey, this is a tool that you can use. And once you get up in upper levels, I try to push that. So it's a little bit of my curriculum now, but I'm just going to say that over the next year or two, we're going to start to include data as part of our curriculum in a bigger way. And that's as much as I can say about that. But I think it's an underused tool. When I first went to Jennings and I asked my buddies, like, hey, you guys have data for this track? Like, oh, what's that? Nobody was really running data at Jennings. And that might be because there's not really good GPS signal there, but
that would help.
Yeah, but it's I guess the big thing about data for me is like my teammate Jose, beginning of this year, he was at MSRH and he was running like a 52 and he was just pushing. And he's like, I just can't get anything more out of it. And a lot of guys, you always hear, I just got to push harder. And I hate hearing that because normally that's when you end up in the weeds. So data, if you look at it and say, all right, you're at a 52, let's look at my buddy who's running a 45 and let's see where the differences are. And it's real easy to see, like right here. So you can make targeted decisions and say, I need to focus on this part of the track and that part of the track. What do we do different? And in one day, we found Jose 6 seconds.
Well,
and that was, like I said, he was on the ragged edge. I can't give it any more to 52. And then we just made a few things and like, just focus on this. Because a lot of times, you come off track and our memory sucks. How many times you looked at a video and you thought you did this, but something else happened? Same thing with data. You think, man, I got to focus on, I just got to push harder or go to a later break marker here. No, man, that may be a half second. There's 2 seconds over here. If you get on the gas earlier, just clean up this line a little bit, So I think data is gold. It's just something I think that more people, we need to, it's a tool that everybody should use because you can avoid that. Just got to push harder and focus on stuff that actually make you faster in a safer way.
Right. I've heard the data thing a lot. It seems to be kind of big, like people talking about all this data, and maybe just because the technology kind of advancement that we've had over the past, say, decade even or 2 decades has been pretty huge, and you have access to more of that now. But I never thought about it in that way of like comparing your data to someone else's and saying, hey, this guy is fast, has proven is fast. Let's look at his almost graphs and talk about, hey, you think you're breaking good here, but you could break way more here, or just like you said, clean up this line a little bit. You see he gets on the gas at this point, and I know there's lap timers, they show all of that. They show acceleration, deacceleration, they show how much that you've got it all. So it does make sense that it's super easy to kind of break it down straight to the point, if you will, I guess.
Yeah. And there's some caveats. You can't send a buddy out on a 400 and then try to go out on a 1000 and compare data because that's, 2 different lines, 2 different animals. But if you got a guy on a similar bike who's 4 to 5 seconds faster than you average at the track, you can learn something from him. But that's part of it. It's having data from somebody that's a little bit faster. You definitely got to have that, and it's got to be applicable. It's an apples to apples type of thing. And there's just getting a Solo 2. It doesn't have to be a Solo 2 DL, just a Solo 2. Just Velcro, duct tape it to your tank and go around. You can get there's a lot of stuff that you can learn just from that. A lot of guys go crazy with the data. I'm getting into a lot of that right now. I just got a new R6, the 17 plus. So I've got some other channels I can look at now. You can add the brake pressure monitors, you can add the potentiometers to the suspension. And when you're really looking to get fast, that's when you get crazy into it. But some people see that and they're like, oh, I don't need all that, and just ride the bike. But if you just get a Solo 2 and have somebody running a little faster, you can definitely find some easier ways of getting faster. And it's not that hard to learn. Race Studio 3 it's not the best software in the world, but you can figure it out pretty quick.
Yeah, it's not too bad. As long as you're not trying to deep dive into it, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but we've talked about that a couple times too, though, that the Solo 2's got the little red and green on the side. I tell you what, that's, if nothing else, just to help you not be tired.
Man, I can be out there going, it's time to go back in on a track day. It's time to go back in. If I see a green bar, that's gone.
Yeah, second wind, third wind, whatever it is.
See, that's why I won't look at one when I'm on a track. I don't want to know. Like, I don't want that extra thing going on in my head. It's like, I'm on a burner. I'm not on a burner. Maybe I'm not smart enough to calculate those extra things. I don't know.
I'm 46 years old. I need that green bar for the extra motivation.
Okay. Right on. Damn, dude, 46. I thought I had you beat. I'm 43 going on 44 this month.
There you go.
Shit. Right on. All right. We definitely, you got to come endurance with us, race with us then. We'll make some joke about the old man team or some shit. I don't know. Stuff. Sorry.
Oh, no. I'll get my wing fixed. I'm definitely down. I'd be interested in that.
You're more than welcome, dude.
So what is an endurance race exactly? I mean, I understand you're racing for a long time, but like that you're talking about, what does that look like?
So we do ultra lightweight endurance, 400s and below. In CMRA, typically it's a 6-hour race. Saturday, we'll have sprint races in the morning, and then starting at noon, it'll be a 6-hour endurance race. Typically, it's fielded by somewhere between 4 and 5 riders. You go out there, try to ride as long as you can. The way we do it, we try to ride for an hour each and then switch off. If you're like really trying to win the race, there are competitive teams that put riders out there for longer periods of time. But yeah, it's something like that. And everybody, it's the cheapest way to race. and less tires. They don't burn the tires up the bigger bikes do.
Mm-hmm.
And the entry fee is not bad. I think for a typical weekend, it's $1,000 for a team between the entry fees, a set of tires, gas, and you divide it between 5 people, $200, and you get to race. And I mean, for however long on track, it's a lot of fun and pretty cheap way of racing compared to the sprints. Anyways, I think Wira they do like the middleweight bikes. They do endurance racing there, but as far as what we do down here, it's ultra lightweight endurance.
Okay. So do you find yourself ever having to do a tire change, or?
We don't, because frankly, we don't have the pace for it.
Okay.
The faster teams do, and they'll have the quick change setups, and that's pretty cool. See the guys pull a rear and put another one on, and I think I clocked one guy at 56 seconds.
Wow.
I have it on film where they did it at ECR last year. That was badass.
That's cool. Yeah.
But yeah, the top couple of teams that are fighting, that need to do it for the championship for the year, they'll do a tire swap sometimes. I guess it depends on the track and how abrasive it is and the temp and all that stuff. But yes.
Right. Okay. Man, can you imagine, sorry to kind of go off of nowhere here, but can you imagine if MotoGP did like one endurance race a year?
I mean, they tried the sprints. Maybe they'll go the other way and try that. I don't know. Probably not. That would be cool.
I didn't think about it that way, but yeah. Yeah.
Huh. I don't know. Watching those guys, though, they hit every one of them hits the same mark on the track, lap after lap. It's incredible. And they do it for regular races. I can't imagine doing that for 6 hours. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and what's kind of crazy to me is I was sitting there thinking about, you're talking about data and sharing data. And obviously if I come down to MSR and Cole comes down and you're there, we're all friends, we're not competing. And even if we were competing, it's club racing. So you want to just see the club rise. So you're going to share that data. But I was thinking about it, I was like, when do you hit the point of no, you're not looking at my data. Are you kidding me?
That exists in our club. It does for some of
too far up.
No, some of the guys that are fighting for a championship, I think they keep. I think what I've been told, they keep their data to themselves. Other guys share it. One of my best friends, AJ, he told me it's you show me yours, I'll show you mine type of thing. That's so most people down here, and that's something I have noticed, at least from the East Coast to here. Don't get me wrong, the motorcycle community, everywhere you go to the paddock, most everybody's friendly. Back home, I think it was a little bit more competitive in the paddock. Down here, it is definitely more, it's us against the track. AJ says that all the time. And so as far as sharing data, it's pretty wide open.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to piggyback, and then I'm going to throw that one to you, Easton, but we have talked about that quite a bit recently with different people, is just the feeling from different tracks, because everybody's so friendly. But it is different families. Every track you go to, that's their family. They're all friendly within each other, and they're usually quite welcoming. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
There's history, and they know each other, but everybody is.
They hang out outside of the track.
Yeah, a lot of times you got friend groups and everything else that are not just track. But you mentioned. I'm gonna use. We use Lugnut as an example all the time, but a friend of ours, Anthony Lugnut, he's a racer, one of the fastest guys at every track he goes, right? But he's the first guy that would tell you everything. Like, this is what I'm doing. This is what you need to do. The guy that's on his rear tire, he's doing everything he can to coach him how to get around him. And sometimes I'm stopping him going, dude, I'm rooting for you. Quit giving away everything. I mean,
I got money.
Don't give it to that guy.
Yeah.
Interesting how people think. But I was going to see if you were going to jump in there, Easton, with so in your travels, do you think that there's a more competitive club? Is one club more competitive than another one in the United States?
You're asking me.
Well, I'm asking
Josh.
I'm pointing it to you to ask Josh. I guess.
Okay. Well, hey Josh, in your travels, do you think there's
So we've got this, man.
Here's the question. Let me phrase your question. What's the club that you race with down there in Houston? Their official name, or in Texas? Sorry.
CMRA, Central Motorcycle Racing Association. Yeah.
Central Motorcycle Racing Association. Okay. There is currently a little bit of a not hostile situation, but we're currently building a possible club racing rival between WERA and CVMA. Cole here has gone and raced with CVMA, Chuckwalla Valley Motorcycle Racing. No, just Motorcycle Association. Sorry, what was that?
I said I saw that.
Okay, we haven't raced with WERA, but obviously every club's going to say that they're the fastest, they're the best.
Right. Yep.
That's how that goes, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
CVMA often has a lot of Moto America people coming down. They do run a very professional program down there. Like I said, Cole's been down there, raced with them. Great feedback from them. What I think we're trying to ask you here is that would you hold your own guys at CMRA up against the group of guys at CVMA?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And only because I'm really good friends with a couple of guys who've been around the club for a while who have gone and raced around the country. And they kind of told me what they thought about it. And I also know where they placed. So, yeah, I think so.
So you got some data to back that up, I guess.
A little bit. Yeah.
And that's the right answer. That's the right answer.
Yeah. Now, I know there are. I've got friends in WERA. I got some friends that have been racing the Pan Am series down in Florida side of things, and there are some. Every group has fast guys,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the common denominator is, if you're going to judge a club in general, maybe one's faster than the other year to year, but I think that where it changes is when you go to Moto A. That, like, we call them aliens down here. There's some guys that they're on a whole nother level, and a lot of every year you get a few club racers that want to go try Moto A, and it's a big change. It's a big difference. The fastest club racer usually gets humbled out there, at least from what my friends tell me and for what I've seen or whatever. But there's fast guys in every group, and every group can say the same. No, we're the fastest. I don't know. But I'm a slow guy, so I'm not even in the freaking conversation. So
it's a fun conversation though, no? It
is. But I mean, I want to go race in all these places, so I don't want to say anything here and go, have a target on my back if I go to place weird.
Hey, as long as you keep saying I'm the slow guy, I just want to check it out.
I'm the slow guy, just check it out. Yeah,
you show up and CMRA is actually way better, and then you might have some troubles there. But
no, I want to go do some WERA stuff for sure. And the Pan America series, I've heard good things about that. Like their whole registration, like the way they do that is supposedly really cool, and I think that they have some cash payouts and stuff. So not this year. I got too much going on with Ridesmart and my own racing this year, but maybe next year I'd like to branch out and do some racing in other. Like, I'm a little bit jealous of you guys getting to go out and try these different tracks. Like next year, I'd really like to do that for sure.
It is fun. It is fun. I will say that. Speaking of that, I guess, for crazy people like us that are living far away from Texas, is there a reason that you would say, this is kind of, some advertisement for yourself here, but is there a reason I should come out? Like, let's say I'm somewhere, like I'm right next to where California Superbike School does, or where I can get YCRS. Is there a specific reason that I need to come try Ridesmart, or are they just another good group?
Absolutely. Well, let me preface that. I always tell everybody, I think that you should get your riding education from everywhere. Go to every school you can, learn from everybody, because each person, your own rider, what we may teach, something else might work better for you. So there's no one right answer. But yeah, I mean, I moved here for this. I moved here for really, there were two reasons. Ridesmart, I want to be part of it. I just thought it was the best thing, the program, the way it's set up, the way the people were. And then CMRA, like the CMRA paddock is like a family. I feel very at home with that group. It's just everybody treats you so good. Everybody wants to see you get better. And then the quality of the teaching, like I said, Ridesmart, I don't know anybody else in the country that has a school like what Ridesmart does. And I've only been around a little while. I don't know what's up in the Northeast. I think there's was it not Dirtfish? What is that one up there? There's something in New Hampshire. There's I think a pretty decent school, but I don't know enough about it to speak to that. But if you come to Texas, you'll love the people. You'll love the weather for the most part, except for me right in the middle of the summer. You get to ride COTA, which is it's the only FIM track in the country until Flat Rock comes along, which I don't want to say anything too soon, but we might be out there a little bit. I don't know if Ridesmart's totally going to stay in Texas forever. We've had some talks about maybe expanding one day, and Flat Rock might be something we'd be interested in one day. Are they even going to let motorcycles in yet? I don't even know if they've made that official. I don't know.
No idea.
But I'd love to go check that out.
There at all.
Yeah, but
so since I'm dumb here, when you say Flat Rock, that's the track where?
It's going to be west of Knoxville in Crossville, Tennessee.
So I didn't realize it was referred to as So it is supposed to be FIM certified and everything. There's rumors about World Superbike.
MotoGP.
Yeah, I know they're fighting for that one too.
Yeah.
But World Superbike, I think, to get back in the U.S., that's their number one choice at the moment.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
But my understanding is it's the first track in a long, long time in the United States that was FIM certified up front in the plans. It's not an afterthought.
Gotcha.
So I do know it is.
Cool. I've seen the layouts. I mean, it looks awesome. Have you guys ever been through that part of the world before? You ever driven along 40 through there?
Yeah.
I'm interested to see that. It's kind of by itself there, so they'd have to make sure a lot of stuff was available. There's no hotels and whatnot if you went. I guess the big question is, I know they're talking about having racing organizations there, but will they have track days? I guess is the question.
Right.
So some of these.
Yeah, they're. Sorry, I just did a quick Google search. You're
still Google searching?
Their website is not the best in ways of like info. They're just a lot of info on their upcoming grand opening. It looks like on the May 4th, 2024. But they don't even I can't even find an actual. You go to track info, and there's just kind of a picture of where they're at on a map, but they don't even have a track map available at the moment. So yeah. Anyway, who knows?
If it opens, I'll be making the trip out there for sure. I want to check that out for sure. Plus, my parents are back in Virginia 4 hours from there, so I make a trip back home.
Yeah, not too bad.
I'd like to do a VR again too. VR used to be my home track, and I loved it, and I haven't been back in a while now, so I'd like to go back and ride VR also. You guys said you wanted to do that. Neither of you have been to VR before?
Nope.
Not yet.
It's cool. It's a lot of fun. The North Course is awesome. I used to ride with PRE. That's Performance Riding Experience.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are quick. I've always heard that that's the fastest track day org in the country. Not racing, but track day guys. Those guys move a little bit. When you get your level 3 bump there, they say that's the hardest bump to get in the country. Those guys move a little bit. So just but they do. The North Course is amazing. The South Course has a really cool elevation drop. It's a ton of fun. But bikes typically do the North Course because that's what Moto America was running. But sometimes they'll open up the Grand Course, and hell, I don't even know. It's like 4 miles or something. It's just I don't know how you'd ever learn it, but it's a cool track. It's really beautiful too. Like the whole layout, the trees, the scenery is really beautiful there.
So you said the word bump. So one thing that I think Easton will agree with me, but one thing that we've noticed that's different, I don't know how it is in Texas, but most of the tracks, they just, on a track day, I get that Ridesmart's different because it's more training.
Mm-hmm.
It's a school rather than just a track day. But when you go to a track day, you just, out west, you just pick, I'm an expert.
Yeah, honestly, like a dude that doesn't know that just went out and bought a Ducati and thinks he's fast could sign up for expert accidentally, or even a dude that doesn't even know that he's fast and just signs up for a group thinking it's usually if you read into it, it'll be like, this is for people that can claim this lap time. But
you were looking for reasons to come ride. Ridesmart. That's one of the reasons that I loved it. Like, it was really cool. Whenever I went out with coaches, they would always pull me up just a little bit. I never felt like I was getting towed and I was unsafe, but I was constantly gaining. Like, they always had coaches that would pull you up just the right amount, and it's very structured, and they put you where you need to be. There's absolutely no chance. And they've got, control riders on top of coaches, and they see somebody out there that shouldn't be there. You'll get put where you need to be, where you're safe. It's a great way to learn and be safe. They're really big on that.
Yeah. And I think some of the tracks we went to on the East Coast though have, since you've never rode with them, you're automatically in the C group.
Mm-hmm.
You have, there's no argument. You have to start in the C group.
Yeah.
So fine. I get it. I understand it, but they always tell you, so that's why I brought up the bump word. A lot of those tracks will say, we'll bump you up as we see fit.
Yeah.
But then it gets busy, and it's lunchtime, and you're running 30, 40 seconds faster than the guys just ridiculous. And they've got rules like you can't pass in a corner, only on a straight. They've got all these rules, and then you just get stuck there.
Yeah. So, there's a very specific story with that one. We were doing a 2-day at Roebling, and our first day at Roebling, we had to be in the beginner group, whatever you want to call it, relaxed beginner C group, whatever you want to call it. That's the other thing is no one can get their names the same across the board, but
That's right. Yeah.
whatever. We said C group, we're like, oh, we're in C group, and they're like, what is C group? Like, whatever your bottom group is, they're like, oh, well, that's novice. I'm like, okay, sorry, C group. Anyway, but yeah, Roebling. I don't know if you've ridden Roebling at all.
I want to, but I have
like,
not.
It kind of goes left, right, left, right, left, right, straight. Right. That's about it.
Simple track.
Maybe
Fun.
not even that many. It might just be left,
But-
right, and then straight.
As
But
long as no
anyway.
ambulances right across.
Exactly.
We buried that. That's gone.
Sorry, my bad.
We were there the weekend before that happened.
Were you
Literally
really?
one week before that. But all day we're get to the straight and freaking pin that thing and hold your brake in the absolute last second just so you can get around a group of 20 people.
That's no fun.
And then keep going, and then you get stuck by the time you're in turn 3. You're stuck behind another group of 6 people, right? And you're waiting for someone to come up to you, which right before the last session of the day, which I actually opted to just not do because I'm like, I'm not gaining anything. I'll talk to him tomorrow about a bump, I guess, hopefully.
Yeah.
At that session, a guy finally came up and said, hey, do you guys want to move to intermediate? So it's like you spend, 6 out of 7 sessions.
He actually bumped me and said, where'd your friend go?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I said he ain't riding anymore because he's sick of this. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's not fun, and especially when you pay as much money as you do to ride on a track. That's not fun. Do you guys do round robin? Follow leader, ducks in a row, first session to learn the track. Any orgs made you do that yet?
I've seen that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Quite a few of them.
All right, we do that at Ridesmart. We do that with every group. If you've never been there before, advanced group. Even with advanced group, instructors lead the first lap. You are not allowed to take off on your own until you've done a lead follow for the first lap, even in the advanced group. I'll make sure everybody knows the track, and I think Ridesmart. I'm trying to think the number. I think we normally send out somewhere between 10 and 12 students per instructor just for the general track day, and then through the day, like every session, you work with a coach. Like throughout the day, everybody gets to work with the coach at least once. We'll put jerseys on the 2 people that are working with a coach. Out of that group of 10 or 12 or whatever, 2 people are with the coach, and then after one lead follow lap, then the rest of the guys can take off, and those 2 stick with the coach. So it's very like I said, it's a lot of instruction for sure. But
yeah, I can say, speaking of the round robin, is that what we said? Red robin.
Round robin, well, call it whatever you want.
So
You hungry?
maybe a little bit. But I can say that I have preferred when they offer that. Because normally I think we show up, we travel around the country, and at least in the past few years when we've made some pretty big trips, we're showing up as B groupers. We'll hop in a B group. We think we're about that level. Sometimes we're good to go, but I can tell you just about the first session every day, it's kind of like, well, do you want to lead or do you want me to lead? Because neither of us want to lead because we've never seen this track before. And you're going out there and you're holding people up because you're trying to learn the track. So when a group or an org does offer, right before every session starts, the hard part is that they always run expert first. And so C group, where they're doing the lead follow, your first session has already happened if you're in B group. So if you're showing up to a track as a person that has ridden enough to know your way around a racetrack and you want to go learn it before you go out, to do a lead follow, technically, like they offer the lead follow, you would have to skip your first session.
You're confusing us because you're talking about 2 different things. So maybe not 2 different things, but what Josh is talking about is
the sighting lap.
Some orgs you go to, and maybe if we're referring to it as ABC, maybe the C group has lead follow on the first session, and they do it like Josh is saying, and then the B group it does the same thing. But there has been some tracks that offer, hey, come out 10 minutes before basically the first session of the day. Anybody who's never been here, regardless of your group, just come out. We're going to do a couple lead follow laps.
Mm-hmm. You guys, track walks, the most of the orgs you guys go to allow track walks in the morning before the track gets hot?
Yeah,
allow?
usually,
yeah. Well, okay. I don't know about in the morning, technically.
They're usually the night before.
Okay.
Most tracks.
Yeah. I've walked Jennings the night before. All of our Ridesmart days, except for COTA, they will not let us take vehicles on the track for COTA, but all the other tracks, everybody hops in pickup trucks in the morning and we go out and stop at each turn. And Ridesmart puts down the X's on the track It's more for novice intermediates, but showing tip in points, apexes, and whatever. And we'll stop at each turn and kind of, if you haven't been there, show your way around the track a little bit in that way. And if for me and all my private coaching stuff, I do that too. In the mornings, we got some of those little electric scooters, and we'll go out and we'll run the track on the scooters, and I'll stop and talk, and I try to make sure everybody stays on the line on the scooters, in the morning before we go out for the first session. But track walks, especially because tracks change, from here until the next month. Maybe, this part of the track got a little crappy, or maybe there's a pothole here. MSRH, I'll be honest with you, MSRH has some character. I'm working with the track right now to try to see if we can't get some repairs done. But our track MSRH has a lot of character. Eagles Canyon is perfect. Code is really nice, but G2 is really nice. But I do have there's a few things you got to dodge at our track, which I think makes you a better rider, so.
Yeah. I mean, being able to kind of read every scenario, but
yeah, when you're leaned over and you start to feel some squiggling and some bumping, that's a good thing to learn.
That's where that dirt training comes in too, right? So,
oh yeah, I had a moment the other day, and the dirt stuff saved my butt. I'm not gonna lie, it did.
Yeah.
Yep. So.
Yeah. The R6 ain't got traction control. Sorry, I don't mean to go down that. I'm not gonna open up that can again.
Nope. Leave that alone. No, I rode an 08 up until a month ago. I sold it for a long time. I had an 08 R6. That was my race bike. But for this year, I bumped up to expert for this year, and I'm totally going to get my ass handed to me. So I was like, let me at least get a 17 plus so I can, have a little bit of a better, weapon out there, the old clapped out 08. So,
well, I don't know what the prices on R6s are in your neck of the woods, but you just sold an 08. You probably can retire, right? Is that?
Yeah, unless you reinvested in a 17.
I was going to say the 17 could retire. 08,
Yeah. I was really lucky. My teammate from last year, he was selling his off, and he worked out something good with me on it. So hopefully I don't crash it, because that'll suck.
Yes.
Hey, man.
Well, I'm running out of questions for you.
I can tell it gets a little longer pause every time we stop a topic.
Well, sometimes I'm trying to remember, through what we've been talking about. I had something, but
yeah.
Well, I would say, sorry, I would say, I can shoot shit all night, but I think that's pretty good. I would ask, who all you want to shout out, so Easton can put it at the bottom of this.
Oh, absolutely. And actually, there's one topic I would like to talk about. I'm surprised you guys didn't ask. Last year, you guys met me, and why did you come up and talk to me?
Oh, well, you had this weird contraption at your tent. And also, there was a little bit of personal reason I wanted to ride at Coda, and I was trying to figure out who did that. And I was like, hey, there's a track day org at a MotoGP event. I better go talk to him. And then there was this weird robot thing looking motorcycle on a robot. I don't know, something weird.
Yeah. Thanks. Appreciate that. No, it was, I still remember what you guys said about it too, about how it could be helpful. And you guys were talking about being crossed up and how you can fix it and all that. So that was cool when you guys did that podcast. That was something I built at home a couple years back just for me to catch up. Like I said, I got started late, but I've been working on a new version for several years now, and I'm hoping to have it ready for MotoGP. And it's a smart, I'm not going to say it's a sim because I'm not using it as a sim, but the new unit has rider inputs. You climb on it, you give it gas, you give it bar inputs, you give it shifting and all that, and the machine will move the bike appropriately. Now, you can never, we talked about this before, you can never recreate all the forces. And frankly, every other trainer and every stuff out, I've tried them, and there's nothing I like. Frankly, there's just nothing out there that I think. Everything else creates bad habits. So I'm trying to create one that can be useful. And ideally, in the next few months, I'm going to have multiple of these things, and they'll be at Ridesmart events and all my stuff. And I'm going to use it as a training piece of equipment and I couple it with the VR goggles. I don't know if you guys have tried 360 video and watching it through a set of Oculus goggles yet. I think there's a lot of value to that. I was learning a track, kind of off topic a little bit, but I was learning a track, and I could not find this reference marker. It was a blind uphill, and everybody kept telling me, look for the third telephone pole, and that's when you can pin the gas, and when you top the hill, it'll drive you right to the edge of the track. So it was a whole timing thing. And I ran the whole day and just being leaned over, I just never saw it.
Mm-hmm.
I put the video on, I paused and looked, I was like, son of a, there it is. And it helped me. So we're doing some stuff with that, but ideally it's going to be kind of cool because the machine's going to move as much, like, it's true to physics as can be. We're going to take 360 video from the students and put them on. I'm going to lead the discussion, but it's going to be cast out. So I'll have like 4 guys on trainers. We'll all be watching the same video and say, we're going to learn CODA. I'll put you guys on these things. We'll watch a video and go to turn 1 and I'll pause it. You'll be leaned over and I'll say, look, where are you looking right now? Jimmy, where are you looking right now? And oh, you need to be looking there. Okay. We'll be able to take students' video, put them back on it. They can relive their laps and we can look down and say, hey, were you on the brakes yet? Nope, you weren't. Gotcha. That sort of thing. So we'll use it as that sort of training tool, but then kind of as a separate little bonus. You mentioned video games, and I am not a video game guy at all. We'll also be able to send the outputs from my machine to a laptop or to PlayStation, and it essentially turns this thing into a gaming controller as well. So hopefully at MotoGP, if I can get my butt working a little faster, I'm going to have one that is used for training. We'll be sitting there training like last year, using the goggles, checking out, CODA. Mm-hmm. And then I'll have one that's set up with, the newest version of MotoGP where you can use it as a controller and play it with the 360 headset on. So it'll be a gaming controller. And I've been working really hard on that, and it'll be really cool to have that done. Whether it takes off or not, it's a project I've put a lot of heart and soul into, and I'm excited to have it there. So,
yeah, no, that's awesome. I don't know if you can answer this, but gaming controller, that's pretty cool. What does that cost, Josh?
I don't know yet. I don't want to answer that question.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. And honestly, my goal is I don't want any part of that realm. Honestly, I want to make this thing work and prove that it works. And I would just as soon license it off and let somebody else do the gaming controller side of it. And that would allow me to focus on teaching and coaching without looking at the bank very often, worried about stuff. So that's kind of my ultimate plan there.
Yeah. No, that's cool though. I remember seeing that thing last year, talking to you a little bit about it. Yeah. For those of you that maybe aren't quite fully caught up, you're essentially take a motorcycle and put it on a stand that leans it left and right. And now with what you're pairing with it, the VR goggles, the 360 cam, like you said, being able to ask someone like, hey, where are you looking? And then tell them like, no, your marker's down there. And they can literally just sit there and look up, and you're not out on the track. You're not moving. You just have a chance to slowly find all your markers. That sounds very, very helpful. So.
Well, being able to pause in a corner, you can't pause where you're out there on the track, and everybody runs GoPro, and you can sit here on the laptop and click and pause and try to find stuff. But to put on a headset and be on a machine leaned over and to get your neck muscles right and where you're looking and that sort of thing, that's what we're going with that as a newer type of training tool.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That'll be super sweet.
Yeah, and I'll just tell you, a lot of guys that hear about this stuff, what do I need VR goggles for? I was that way. I was building my original trainer. I went out and bought like 3 75-inch TVs, and I had the full array, and I had that machine leaning, and just when I looked over, what I found was no matter where I mounted the camera and tried to spread that image across 3 screens, the perspective was never right. And the reason is, motorcycles, rider's helmet is up here, and then all of a sudden we're this far away from the camera mount. And so our perspective changes in relation to the track. Absolutely. So all these other trainers that have a TV, I hate the ones like where it leans and the guy's looking over here at the center. Like, that's not where you look. That's a terrible thing. So VR is really the only way that you can really create a sim that works. So anyway, for what it's worth, we'll see what happens with it. But one more thing, I'll ask you guys what you think about this. You asked me about coaching earlier, and we were talking about, the pros. It's a great, it's wonderful, great. You get to coach all the time on track. Well, there's also a downside. If you're working with the novice and intermediate group, and you're also trying to race, coaching makes you slower. Because you're out there doing laps and everything is coming at you at just a slower pace, and you get used to those reference markers coming slower. You go back out and try to go fast. It takes time and laps before your brain starts firing off and you start getting used to being going fast again. Mid last season, I wasn't doing a lot of racing due to scheduling, and I got slower because I was coaching. So that made me think, and this is where I'm interested to see what you guys' opinion is. I haven't done this yet, but I have a science experiment lined up. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find one of my local guys that, like an expert guy. Let's say he runs a 140 at MSRH. I'm going to send him out on the track with a 360 camera. I'm going to say, go give me 5, not burner laps, but just a good steady 140. It's pretty fast pace. You're not pushing, but pretty good. and I want you to come in. We're going to take that video, and I'm going to throw it into Premiere, and I'm going to speed it up. And I'm going to turn that 140 into a 120, right? And then I'm going to change the audio so it doesn't sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks. I'll change it down. So all of a sudden, and then I'm going to put it in the headset. And before that next session, like 10 minutes before, I'm going to make that guy put the headset on, and I want him to sit there and watch his lap, his bike, his lines at 1:20 where everything's coming faster, right?
Right.
And I don't want to send him out. And my theory is that 140 he normally runs will seem slow to him.
It's an interesting thought.
Right?
It's an interesting thought. I don't know. My initial thought is you're 100% correct. It will, right? Having I have some personal experience of spending months at a time only moving as fast as my feet can go, and then coming back and driving home or driving to work or whatever, hop on the freeway and 70 miles an hour feels like 150, and it's hard to go that fast again. And on the opposite side of that, I've found that after going to a racetrack time and time again, riding bikes, back when there was a year where I was going there were almost 3 weekends in 1 month I went. And by the end of that month, driving to work, I would catch myself kind of speeding just a little bit more often, just simply because the more time you spend on a track with your eyes further up, used to going fast, right? Eyes are further up out. You see everything come past you faster. You're looking further. Speed doesn't feel as fast.
Sure.
So I think there's real merit to your experiment. I'm very interested to hear what happens.
Yeah, we're gonna have to catch back up after that.
Because, well, I definitely think that can work. I'm laughing because I was playing Ride 4 last night. I'm not a big gamer either, but I was playing Ride 4. Sole reason I bought that game is because they have Miller Motorsports Campus or UMC on it.
Oh, okay.
So my home track.
I figured it was something that you wanted to learn, or had been around.
So, but I know on that game, I know what I run in real life, and I'm faster on the video game, in theory. Yeah. So when I'm going around, the game is relatively realistic. I mean, it's nowhere near realistic, but you know what I mean? It's So when I play it, though, I'm always trying to put that time down, and I catch my mind all the time. I play the video game maybe different than a kid would or somebody that doesn't ride motorcycles, because I do try to look as I'm playing the game. I try to not pick up bad habits while I'm playing the game. Yeah, not like that bad, but you know what I mean? I kind of focus where I would be looking. Like I'm just going through my mind. I'm saying, going through this corner, this is how it feels in real life. This is where I would want to hit it. Kind of ignoring the line that's on the track because that's maybe not where I hit it in reality.
Sure.
But I run, I don't know, probably 8 seconds faster on average in the game than I do in real life.
Really?
And so as I play that video game, I get a kind of a feel for that speed. And I always wonder if that does the same thing. I mean, at a lesser extent, of course. But
yeah, obviously the VR would hopefully be a little bit more than that. But
yeah, well, cool little hack. I don't know. Some of those they offer where you can put on and play the game in VR. I think MotoGP did it last year and they got rid of it this year. But there's a hack now. There's a program you can load, and basically it'll go into Unreal Engine and it'll let you output into VR. So you can pretty much play any video game that runs Unreal Engine in VR. Which, but I don't know. I'm not a huge gamer.
I was going to say, Easton, figure that out for me. Huh. You're my IT guy.
Yeah, big gamer over here. That's me. Yep.
There you go. Anyway,
but no, that is an interesting. Like I said, we'll definitely have to catch back up. Run that experiment, and let me know.
I've been wanting to do it all winter, and I need to make time to do it. But I kind of think about it like baseball. The guy in the on deck circle has like 5 bats in his hands. And when he gets to the plate, he drops 4, and this weighs really light. Kind of like the same thing. Fast, fast, fast. Okay, this isn't so fast anymore. Don't know. It might work, it might not, but I want to try it.
Yeah, I think my only negative towards it, the only reason I would say I want to do anything is like if you just go watch 5 laps real quick, then you're right back out there on the bike doing what you were doing. I don't know if that'll be enough to trick your brain.
Yeah, and you can't recreate the the sensory things, the feel and what's going on. So I don't know.
I would say
kidnap the guy, strap him to a chair, and
Well,
plug his eyes open, force him to watch it for
so my
72
thought was like,
hours straight.
what if you took him, said, hey, this is this week. I want you to take this home, watch this every night before bed. Run it twice, right before bed or at night. Instead of watching TV for this week, run it right before bed and come back next week.
Yeah.
Right. So then it's every day. That's all he's seeing. That's what his brain's seeing. It's like he's been at the track, not in every aspect, but a little bit, and he has that repeat. And now, anyway.
I think if my guy would have to be in it, like you can't just sit there and watch the video. Yeah, I'm going around faster. I think you would have to be looking for your reference markers, and timing and actually trying to do the lap. Even though you're not doing the lap on a bike, you need to be in it, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree with that.
So
yeah. Well,
right on, guys.
I feel like we've kind of been mentioning things throughout. Definitely some stuff I'll have linked down in the description. But is there anything specific you wanted to add or reiterate?
No. Just there's a lot of guys who have helped my program along and just have become great friends down here. And if I have a chance to shout out their businesses, I'm going to. My buddy Chris Hamlet with South Central Race Center. He's our regional Pirelli dealer. He's a really intelligent guy. He's run some Moto A stuff, super fast, and he's a great friend. And he's if you're in Texas and you're running Pirelli or you're running anything, I highly recommend getting with Chris. Even if you're a new guy and you don't know what tire to use, talk with Chris. He'll set you up with track day tires or whatever you need. And he's very, very intelligent. It's not just SC 1, 2, or 3. Soft, medium. We will talk about temperature, weight, all those things. He's a really smart guy. So Chris Hamlet with South Central Race Center. John Hutchinson with P1 Racing. He is my suspension guy. He's in the northern part of Houston, the Tomball area. If you're getting a bike built or suspension set up, I recommend John. We both have an engineering background, so I have a good relationship with him. We can talk and understand things, and he's helped me to understand my motorcycle. And Ridesmart Motorcycle School, Dave Johnson and Quan Lu, they're amazing owners. They're great people. They care about every student, and it's a very family-oriented thing. So those guys are great. All of the instructors at Ridesmart are amazing folks, and I guess most importantly, my guys that coach with me at Bittinger Motorsports. I'm very funny about who I want on my team, and I could not be more thankful for the guys that I have. They're awesome. They're amazing guys. They care about each student, and I'm just very funny about making sure that there's a lot of guys that just go fast and say, "Hey, follow me." That's not a coach. These guys are guys that can follow you and pick out and point out. You need to work on this or this, and hey, let's go do this. And they're all positive, and I'm very, very, very proud of the guys that I have on my staff. They're awesome people and awesome coaches. So there you go.
Good deal. Heck yeah. Well, hey, like Josh just said, if you're in the Texas area, or as we kind of talked about, if you're anywhere in the U.S., you haven't checked out Ridesmart, I think the biggest reason I would give you guys is that if I'm up in Washington or in Utah and it's negative 20 degrees and I want schooling, I can head to Texas and do it, right? So, yeah, looking forward to hearing more from Ridesmart here in the future and hearing more from you. And we appreciate you getting on here. And thanks everyone else for listening.
Yeah.
Right on, guys. Thanks for having me, man. This is a lot of fun. You guys are all right, man. I want to ride with you, and let's hang out and let's have some good times.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Absolutely.